Good morning. Welcome back again to the English classes. So, I hope all of you are following the classes carefully, and I hope that you are aware. I have done two prose pieces, I have done one poem, right? And today I would like to take up the short story. Okay, the short story. That's what we have for mid one, right? For mid one, for mid one, you have one prose and you have a poetry, right? And you have short story. You have short story, okay? And grammar items. You have other grammar items. Tomorrow I will, on Monday I will start, okay? Once I finish the short story, I will start the grammar items. So for mid one, all of you must be aware that we have one poem, one poetry, and one short story and grammar items. So I have done the first lesson and second lesson also have done the language of African literature. Then I have done the poem, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Today we shall see the short story, go through the short story, right? We shall go through short story and then after that I can start the grammar parts. So today the short story in the syllabus is The Lost Child, and the author is Mulkraj Anand. Mulkraj Anand. This is from Indian literature, right? Again from Indian literature. So we saw a prose piece from African literature, and we saw a poem from British literature, The Road Not Taken, and we saw a philosophical prose piece, Gandhi, Mahatma, what is that? The Knowledge Society by APJ Abdul Kalam. Now this short story, The Lost Child by Mulkraj Anand. The Lost Child by Mulkraj Anand. Mulkraj Anand is an Indian writer in English, right? He comes under the category of Indian writers in English. Along with him, Nizim Ezekiel, then you have this R.K. Narayan, Sashi Deshpande, you have A.K. Ramanujan, and then you have the lady Anita Desai. Okay, these are the people who come under the category of Indian writers in English. These are Indian writers. They wrote in English, prose, poetry, short story, and even dramas. So they come under the category of Indian writers in English. Mulkraj Anand is a very famous Indian writer in English, and Mulkraj Anand, in his literary works, he depicts the lower caste or the poor caste of traditional Indian society, the problems of the ordinary man. Yeah, he highlights the problems of the ordinary man, the problems of the poor people, and he is one of the pioneers of Indo-Anglian fiction, along with R.K. Narayan, Rajarao, Ahmad Ali. Okay, he is one of the founders of Indian fiction, Mulk Raj Janam. So this story, this short story, is about a family, a small boy, right? It's about a small boy, and we see here that Mulk Raj Janam is basing his theme, the plot of his story, on a rural background, okay, the village background, and he depicts the typical Indian village scenery, or what happens in a typical Indian village life, right? So this story is about a boy who goes along with his parents to the fair, the village fair, and he's enjoying in the fair. He's eating different kinds of sweets, and he's buying. He wants to. He looks at the balloons, and he looks at the people, the crowd, and he is enjoying the time with his parents. He is enjoying the time with his parents. His father and mother, they are taking him to the fair, and he is sitting on his father's shoulder, and he is able to see everything going on around the fair. But something happens in the story, and there is a climax in the story which is little bit sad and which is little bit pathetic. Okay, so we'll see what is that sadness and what is that pathetic feeling. If I tell you the climax, you will lose interest in the story. So I wish all of you follow carefully, listen carefully, and any doubts you have, you can note it down in your book. And once you come back to college, you can clarify. Okay, you can clarify, and we can discuss any problem or any paragraph which is not understandable by you and you want clarification. So note down in your books any words, any difficult words, or any paragraph which is not understandable to you, and once we come back to college, we can discuss it and we can have a brief clarification. Right? So Mulk Raj Janam is an Indian writer, along with Rabindranath Tagore, Toru Dutt, A.K. Ramanujam, R.K. Narayan, Nizam Ezekiel. He is one of the famous writers of Indian English literature, Indian writers in English. He belongs to the group of Indian writers in English, who wrote in English, because at that time, during the time of the British, if it was very rare for Indian writers to write in English. And not only that, these people were accepted by other famous literary people, Robert Frost, or maybe other writers in UK and in Europe, parts of Europe. They were accepted by their English literary compatriots. That's one thing. It's a great notable achievement that many of our Indian writers are having recognition in the outer world, in the far-reaching field of English literature. So Mulk Raj Janam is a very famous writer. He appeals to the people because of the language that he uses, simple language, and his plot and theme and his setting of the story is simple Indian rural background. Simple Indian rural background. And he talks about the daily things or activities that take place in an Indian society, typical Indian society, right? What takes place in a typical Indian society. Right. So the title of this story is The Lost Child, okay, by Mulk Raj Anand. I think if anyone has done this in your school, maybe it will be easy for you to follow, right? Otherwise, try to understand, and we shall see what happens in this story. So a short story has a plot, a theme, climax, anticlimax, characters, setting, locale. Okay, so a plot, the plot of the story. What is the plot of the story? The protagonist, who is the chief protagonist? The chief protagonist is the child. The story revolves around the child, right? The story is built up around this child, the small boy, and that is the title, The Lost Child, right? So it's a very simple setting, a simple locale. The story takes place in a typical Indian village. It has a rural setting, and the context is Indian context. So Mulk Raj Anand, Rabindranath Tagore, Nizam Ezekiel, all these writers, they use Indian symbolism. They use Indian traditions and culture to bring about this story, to write about this story. Okay, so please follow. Even though you don't have textbook, I'll be reading out line by line and I will be explaining line by line. So try to follow carefully when I am reading the lines and when I'm explaining. So the story begins. It was the festival of spring. From the wintry shades of narrow lanes and alleys emerged a gaily clad humanity. So it was a festival time in the village, right? And all of you just recently we finished our Pongal festival. In Tamil Nadu you say Pongal and Sankranti in Andhra, all right? So we had this festival. And this festival is symbolism of happiness, joy, or newness, right? Symbolism of joy and happiness and newness, freshness. It's the time where people take a break from their daily lives and they thank the God for the harvest that they have enjoyed the previous year. So this festival, and so this story has come at a correct time for us. We have just enjoyed a week of celebrations, so it's very suitable that this story has come at this appropriate time, the festival time. So it's a festival time and a little bit cool, not hot. Yeah, January season. Maybe this is the correct season. Month that the story has been written by the author. So shades of narrow lanes and alleys emerged gaily clad humanity. So from the streets, from the lanes, alleys. What is this alley? Alleys. Okay, narrow lanes, narrow lane. Like he hurried towards his parents. No, I stopped there, and he wanted to buy. He wanted his father to buy the toy, but his father did not buy the toy. But his mother had sympathy. No, I was talking about that. His mother had sympathy, and I'm moving on to the third paragraph. Next paragraph. I explained, I was telling you how the fields were looking, the mustard fields. The flowers were blooming, yellow flowers, and the author is comparing this to melting gold. The sunflowers is comparing to melting gold, right? And a group of dragonflies were bustling about on their gaudy purple wings, intercepting the flight of a lone black bee or butterfly in search of sweetness from the flowers. So you see different activities going on. First we saw people, activity of people. Second we saw the fields, the colorful mustard flower in the fields. Then we saw the dragonfly, right? So just you need, I told you, I was telling you, you need to have creativity. If you want to enjoy poetry, or if you want to enjoy short story, or if you want to understand a prose piece, you need to have creativity. You need to have imagination. You need to have little bit of imagination. So when I'm explaining, you'll be able to follow carefully and you will try to understand the plot of the story. So here, Mulkraj Anand is giving us a very beautiful description of things going around us, the flora and the fauna. He's talking about people enjoying in the fair, right? So, the child followed them in the air with his gaze till one of them would still its wings and rest, and he would try to catch it. The boy followed the parents, and not only that, he is very playful. How do we know he is very playful? He is chasing the butterflies. He is chasing the butterflies, catching the butterflies, going back of the butterflies. So, but it would go fluttering, flapping up into the air when he had almost caught it in his hands. Then his mother gave a cautionary call, "Come, child, come on to the footpath." So his mother is constantly reminding him, his mother is gently telling him, "Come on, come with us, stay with us. Don't go here and there." But the child was very playful. This small child was very playful. He's going back of the butterflies. He's chasing the butterflies. He's chasing the dragon flower, right? He's enjoying in the fields. But his mother says, "Come, child, come on to the footpath. Stay with us. Don't wander here and there." The boy is wandering here and there. But the parents, the mother, especially the mother, okay, especially the mother tells him, "Don't wander here and there. Don't go here and there. Come on, come with us." He ran towards his parents gaily and walked abreast of them for a while. Right? So he ran towards his parents gaily and walked abreast of them for a while. So he walked with them for some time. However, soon left behind, attracted by the little insects and worms along the footpath that were teeming out from their hiding places to enjoy the sunshine. So his mother called him to follow them, and he went behind the parents, along with the parents. But again, the boy was distracted. We see in this short story, the boy is distracted by the things going on around him. In the first paragraph, we saw that the boy was distracted by the toys in the shops, right? And then we see second paragraph, he was distracted by the flowers, the mustard, the sunflowers, the mustard flowers, the mustard field, the sunflowers in the mustard field. And then again, the boy was distracted by the dragonfly, the butterfly, and then now he is disturbed by the insects and the caterpillar or beetles coming out from their hiding places on the road. So this little boy is full of innocence. Yeah, he is full of innocence. He does not know what's going on around him, right? And he is not aware of the time or situation. He's enjoying. He's enjoying the beauty of the creation of God. He's enjoying the beauty of the creation of God, right? He's admiring the creation of God. So he sees the butterfly and he's chasing the dragonfly, and now we see that the boy is looking at the insects coming out from the ground. Early morning, it's early morning time, and the insects are coming out from their hiding places, coming out from their hiding places to enjoy the sunshine, to enjoy the sunshine. Mulkraj Anand is giving us a very beautiful description of the flora and the fauna, right? The flora and the fauna. "Come, child, come," his parents called from the shade of a grove where they had seated themselves on the edge of a well. So now his parents are walking in the fair, looking at the stalls, going around the stalls, looking here and there, and now they have stopped to take some rest in a grove, under the shade of a grove. And they are calling him, "Come, child, come." He ran towards them. He ran towards them. And while he is running towards them, okay, while he entered the grove, something happened. Listen carefully. A shower of young flowers fell upon the child as he entered the grove. What a wonderful thing. What a wonderful thing is happening here. Look at this. As soon as the child entered the grove, what's happening? The flowers are showering, falling on him. He's being showered by the flowers, right, in the grove. And forgetting his parents, he began to gather the raining petals in his hands. What is the boy doing? The flowers are falling from the tree, in the grove, and the boy is putting out his hands to catch the flowers falling from the trees, little flowers. And he began to gather. What did he do? He began to gather the petals and the flowers that fell on the ground. But lo, he heard the cooing of doves and ran towards his parents, shouting, "The dove, the dove." Right? So while he was playing in the grove and while he was gathering the flowers, the doves were cooing of the doves. The sound made by the doves, you call it as cooing. And lo, he heard the cooing of doves and ran towards his parents, shouting, "The dove, the dove." The raining petals dropped from his forgotten hands. Okay, so he gathered the petals, but when he saw the dove, he shouted the dove, and immediately he left, all the petals on the ground. From the petals, dropped from his hands. He forgot about the small flowers. His concentration went to the dove. His concentration went on to the dove. "Come, child, come," they called to the child. The parents are calling, come with us. Don't go away from us. Come, child, come. They called to the child, who had now gone running in wild capers around the banana tree. Running in wild capers. What do you mean by wild capers? Running here and there, running joyfully, shouting and running, having a happy time, having a good time. As they neared the village, the child could see many other footpaths full of throngs converging to the whirlpool of the fair, and felt at once repelled and fascinated by the confusion of the world he was entering. The boy is now again, the parents have taken rest, and now again they are going to the fair, and now he is coming to the center of the fair, right? And the boy is able to see crowds of people, throngs of people, mass of people, and the boy is looking in wonder and amazement. Oh my, what is this? Because the boy has never seen such a crowd of people, and the boy is mesmerized by the people in the fair, and he converged to the whirlpool of the fair. What is this whirlpool? Whirlpool is that rotating, you see in the water, a rotating water is making a hole, a rotating hole like, a whirlpool. And a whirlpool is that water is rotating in a fast circle, and it's very dangerous, right? If you go into a whirlpool, it will suck you down. But here, the whirlpool is referring to the swings, the merry-go-round in the fair, right? The merry-go, you know that merry-go-round? Have you been on a merry-go-round, going round and round, or have you been in a giant wheel which will take you up and bring you down, a giant wheel? These are things which you will find at the fair for enjoyment, for fun. So, the author is talking about the people. He is comparing the merry-go-round to the crowd of people going round and round, walking here and there. And the boy at once felt repelled and fascinated by the confusion of the world he was entering. The boy was confused. He could not understand what was going on. He could not understand what was going on. The fair, now he is going into the frenzy of the fair. The people are moving in a frenzy. People are shouting. People are talking loudly. People are moving here and there. Children are playing. Right? Hawkers are selling their wares. People are doing business. It's a very, very interesting sight. And the boy, he's an innocent boy, a small boy. He's confused by what's going on around him. He's unable to comprehend. He's unable to understand what is going on around him. Okay, right. So we shall stop here and we shall continue next class. Okay, so I'll meet you on Monday, right? So try to follow the lesson, and I hope all of you are understanding what I am trying to teach. Okay, thank you.